given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal. You know, all those things you've been wondering about? Are you ready to go deeper into the realms of the unknown? I hope you've got your walking shoes on, because life is an adventure, and this is the journey. Come on, let's go. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. It's Wednesday night, and this is the Journey Radio Show. My name is Jen Cruz, and I am your host tonight, and we're showing up as the She-Squatchers. So, of course, I'm joined by my trusty teammate, Jenna Grover. Hey, Jenna, are you there?
I am here, and wow, what a night. Oh, I'd sing it, but I can't. So, oh, what a night. Imagine what song I'm singing.
Okay, I will imagine. It's now in my head. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right, so we've got a really fun show for you tonight. Sometimes I get emails from people, listeners, who have people that they want us to bring onto the show. And last week we had a guest like that, and this week also we have Scot and Hannah Violette, who run Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research, and they're in Oregon right now because they're mobile. They are mobile, which I think is really exciting and interesting. But before we get into that, let's just bring them on the show so we can talk to them about that. Welcome to the show, Scot. Hannah, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. So I kind of led into the idea that you're mobile. Can you tell the listeners a little bit what I'm talking about?
Well, we live full time in an RV. It's a good size RV. It's a tow behind trailer, and we tow it behind our Squatch mobile, which is named Adelaide. So we have a pickup that has video cameras and loudspeakers and lights and all sorts of cool things on it that we use when we're in the woods squatching. So we pull our camper into the woods, park it, and then we go out and go squatching. So, and being mobile, we really don't have a home city kind of thing. It's wherever we park our camper. So right now we can't go into the woods, but most of the time we are in the woods.
So you can't go into the woods right now because you're in quarantine, or they're not letting anyone in the woods?
Yeah, actually all the national forests are closed in Oregon right now. We're not allowed to go into the woods.
Wow.
I didn't know that they'd closed the national forests. Everywhere?
Yeah. I think everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, we were up in Washington 2 weeks ago, and just outside of Leavenworth, and we went to go into the mountains, and they had these barricades up across the road saying all national parks are closed. So
national parks,
national forests, national parks.
Yeah. Any developed BLM land. So basically, any land that the public funds is closed right now.
Wow, that's just crazy. I suppose they wanted to lay everybody off.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because they're not keeping, because they probably don't want to have people working in the offices and stuff, and forest rangers out here having to deal with people or whatnot. So
Understandable.
yeah, it's understandable.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that you're here to join us tonight, and maybe there's other places that you could go out and enjoy the woods.
Well, right now we're actually stuck in a campground for the next 30 days. They allowed us to stay here for 30 days because, most people are supposed to shelter at home. Our home is mobile, so wherever we're at is where we're sheltering. But we're actually in Florence, Oregon on the coast. We're just like a couple miles from the beach. So we're going to go out and look for Bigfoot picking clams.
Ooh. Make sure and look for some sea glass. Have you guys ever seen sea glass?
Yes.
I get sea glass from the beaches, and I'm just in awe of it. It's so beautiful and so natural, and the ocean is the creator. It's the sculptor. So beautiful. So it's exciting.
Well, if we can get legal access, which is a challenge right now, we will keep our eyes open.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds good. Do you know about when anything is going to be opening? I mean, have you heard anything or?
Well,
We're kind of locked down here until the 30th. That's as far as we know. May 30th
they
is the date until where they make another decision, I think.
May
They-
May 30th.
May, or no,
April.
April 30th. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just our governor just announced today that public schools would be closed the remainder of the school year, and we will have to do online learning, and so that does not bode well for lifting shelter in place anytime soon. But
Yeah, I kind of have a hunch we might be locked in till June.
Yeah, I know. We had to cancel. We had a Bigfoot festival. Well, actually, I've had several Bigfoot festivals that I was speaking at already canceled.
including our own.
Yeah, including our own.
Oh, which one do you put on?
Oh, we do the Blue Mountain Bigfoot Festival in Baker City, Oregon.
Nice, nice.
So
We
yeah. This year we had. Last year we had Jeff Meldrum was the guest speaker, and this year we had Shane Corson from the Olympic Project, and also Cliff Barrickman was coming. So, but we're actually going to try to work on doing a virtual version of it, maybe in June.
Well, that sounds good. That sounds very good. Well, we enjoy traveling and going to Bigfoot conferences as well. We were supposed to be in Washington. We were supposed to leave April 14th for Yakima.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
And
we were actually going to be there too, but yeah, not.
oh, you were supposed to be there too?
Yes.
I grew up in Yakima, so I was really excited about that.
Oh, for exciting. Well, then I look forward to seeing you in October, where they postponed it to October.
Well, cool. All right.
Will you be coming to it in October then?
Yeah, we will.
Okay, good. Look forward to meeting you in person. This is exciting.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So, okay. So I want to get started into what you have to share with us, because you said you had a Bigfoot encounter that you had to share, and also you've got Native American stories, which of course my heart always goes flutter, flutter, flutter when I hear that, because I am part Native American, and of course that just warms my heart when I get to hear Native stories from various tribes around the country. So, of course, I'm like, ooh, tell me more.
Okay.
So,
Well,
how did you get involved in this? Like, what first got you sparked?
okay. Of course, I always really loved the idea of Bigfoot. When I was like 7, I think I saw the Patterson Gimlin film, and I was like intrigued at that age, you know. But later on in life, I went to college. I'm an anthropologist, and my expertise is in Native American culture. So I worked with many tribes all over the nation, but I spent almost 3 years with the Miwok tribe in California, and I was their personal archeologist for a while. They were trying to get recognized by the government as an individual tribe. They got lumped in with another tribe, and they were trying to split off and get the treaties for their own tribe. And we were looking up history and finding pictographs and petroglyphs and all that stuff to prove that they were a separate entity from the Acute tribe. But in so doing this, they kept showing me these pictographs and petroglyphs, and they're going, that's Bigfoot, that's Bigfoot. Well, Yayali in their language, that's Yayali, that's Yayali. And I'm like, okay, not. And then they started telling me stories. They started telling me, their legends and history with Bigfoot. And so I started looking into other tribes. And I spent some time down in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, and I talked with, the Navajo and the Hopi tribes, and they all had Bigfoot legends too. So I started contacting other tribes. And talking with their elders to get all these stories, and I started collecting all these stories, and I'm like, so every legend has a basis in truth. So I started actually looking into the footprint casts, being an anthropologist, and I got to talk with Jeff Meldrum a few times about this, and he and I spoke at several conferences together now, so I get to hang out with him quite often. So he started showing me, bone structure and stuff like that in the footprint casts that made sense to me as an anthropologist. And I went, oh, okay, so there's got to be something to this. So that put me in the woods looking and tracking, and by getting, we kind of started Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research about 5 years ago.
On an absolute whim.
Yeah.
With absolutely no business plan, no vision. Let's just put this up and get reports and see what happens.
Yeah, so we started with a Facebook page, and just so I could start getting reports from people in our local area, hopefully. And come to find out, our local newspaper editor is a big Bigfoot fan. And when he saw my page, he called me into his office and sat down and did a story on me and put it in our local newspaper, a little tiny newspaper in Baker City, Oregon. And it got picked up by the AP Newswire, and it was published all over the United States. So next thing I know, we had a website that got crashed because there's so many people on it, and we started getting contacts from all over the nation. So we started logging all this stuff, and in 5 years of doing that now, we were able to record patterns from reports we get. And just in our area alone, in our little county, I get 120 reports a year. So, we're in the Blue Mountains. If you know, are you familiar with the Freeman film, of course, right? Paul Freeman and the Freeman film. That was taken less than 20 miles from where we live. So that's where we live, is right in the middle of that area.
When we're home, when we're at home base, that's where we live.
Yeah. So so I started getting those reports, and we started logging them into a database, and then we were able to start looking at times and dates and places, and we figured out almost a migration pattern with it. And then we started going out into the woods just ahead of that migration pattern. And it took me about 5 years, but I finally got to see a Bigfoot for myself for the first time. I mean, I've been looking for 25 years, but being able to track him for 5 years, I was able to get ahead of him enough that I actually saw one for the first time in my life for real. And I got a blurry picture like everybody else did.
Isn't that funny? And people say, why? How?
Yeah.
You try.
I tried.
It was a blurry front face picture.
Yeah.
Not the back side, not the weird side.
Yeah. So,
but
yeah.
face to face.
But see, yeah, I saw this thing, eye to eye, and well, it was about 200 feet away. That was another problem. It was behind some brush, so my camera kept trying to focus on the brush.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I had a guy with me, and he saw it too. And then when we saw it, it was just bobbing his head left to right, like a primate kind of looking at you. And so I started shooting pictures, and then we hear this whistle off in the woods to the left of us, and it turned towards that whistle and walked away. Well, we spent 3 days there after that, and I was shooting lasers through trees and measuring distances and height. We found 3 16-inch footprints with 3 9-inch footprints next to them. So the one I saw was 6 foot tall, so I'm thinking it was a juvenile, and the whistle we heard was mom or dad saying, "Leave the people alone, let's go." So we found the footprints where they turned and walked away from us. And so I got those documented, and we got the photograph, and I got how far it was from me, how tall it was, the whole thing. I kind of jumped on the old archeological.
He totally geeked out with it, man. Total geekery.
So you weren't there then, I take it, then, Hannah?
I was not. I don't know how to explain me. I'm the city girl. I'm the city girl who has only recently discovered that she has a bent for being in the woods, but I was not. I have a full-time job, and that keeps me pretty busy, and so when he's out, tromping through the forests, I'm in front of a classroom full of singing children, teenagers, children. Yeah. They're all the same.
Oh, that's awesome.
But Yeah, she did go out with me though when we were cast
Yeah.
prints and stuff like
I went
that.
out for the geek analysis of the whole situation.
Oh, funny. So the first time you went out with him, and okay, first of all, I have to know, when he told you, did you believe it? Did you
It was
believe, like, truly?
it was about 12:30 in the morning. He came in from this. I was already like sound asleep, and he woke me up. And he says, "I think I got a picture of one." And I think I said, "Oh, that's awesome, honey." And I went back to sleep.
Oh, funny.
But then the next day he was in his little lab area, and he had me go through the pictures, and the way they were all coming up on the computer, and just looking at them at them in order, and he says, "Look at this one, and then here's the next one, and there was something there, and then there was the next one, and the something there was in this frame, and it wasn't here, and it wasn't here." And it was like, oh my gosh, that's a little weird. And so yeah. And then he took me out to look at the footprints, and I saw the footprints, and I helped him cast them. So yeah, that's like, okay.
Nice. Was it your first time casting?
It was my first time casting.
First,
Yeah.
So how did it go? Did you guys fight? Because I know when a couple is out doing things together, sometimes one will do something that the other doesn't want them to do. How was it doing the casting? I mean, was it good? Easy?
I'm pretty responsive to what he tells me to do because I am so clueless.
Oh.
And I'm kind of the comic relief out there in the forest. So,
Yeah.
we try to get footage. I call us the Ricky and Lucy of the Bigfoot world.
Oh my gosh, how fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
no, actually, I spent a whole lot of my life on archaeological digs and stuff like that, so I know how to gather evidence and all that.
And you grew up navigating your way through the Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
Because he was a country boy and I was a city girl, and my idea of roughing it was KOA growing up. I mean, and that was pretty low down on the comfort scale. So.
Yes, a KOA cabin. I've stayed in one of those.
Not even a cabin. We're talking pop-up trailer, and it was awful, So it really has just been probably the last 5 years that I've kind of gotten into this.
Yeah.
Fun.
And now I'm the one that says, now we need to go to Cabela's and get some new hiking boots.
Yes, she went to Cabela's for the first time and bought hiking boots. I'm like, yes.
Oh my gosh.
And my camo wardrobe is getting bigger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's when you start going for name brands that really work well and keep the heat in, keep the moisture off quick. Oh yeah, girl, tell me about it. I love shopping. Oh, sorry about your luck though, now that she knows where to shop. Ha ha. She'll be going, honey, you introduced me to the store.
Yeah, awesome.
So we have a question in the chat room. Kat's asking, do cameras have settings to take multiple pictures at once? One of my phone cameras did, and it might up shutter speed and up the chance of getting a clearer picture.
Yeah. I had a Canon EOS, a really nice camera. And it does have that setting on it. But the problem is and I've found this just taking wildlife photos too, is when you see something, you really don't have time or even think about, I got to flip to that setting. I got to, do all this. I mean, I was trying to focus it, and I noticed my camera wasn't focusing on the creature behind the trees, the foliage. It was focusing on the foliage, and I literally grabbed my lens and heard the gears pop. And when it was trying to autofocus, I was trying to hold it in place, and it was fighting me, because I didn't even think about flipping the autofocus off, because I was just like stunned at that moment, and then it was only like just a few seconds and it was over. So I really didn't have time to mess with settings and stuff like that. But that's a good idea. I should just leave it on that setting.
Definitely. But I have to say, on that setting, pretty soon, you don't realize it, but you've got like 100 photos of a picture of a tree that you took because you thought it was pretty, and you'll accidentally pull your finger down, and then you'll go, why do I have 100 pictures of a tree? You know what I mean? So that's, to have that on all the time would be hard, but what a good idea.
Yeah, it
Awesome.
Huh.
So Sherry's asking, do you take weapons for protection or even just something like bear spray?
I do carry weapons because in our area there's a lot of bears and cougars and stuff like that. And though I've never had a problem with any of them, but I just want to make sure I'm safe, that way. But other than that, I have no intention of ever using it on a Bigfoot or anything like that ever. So.
Very, we're one of the ones that go out without weapons at all. So, but Jenna did purchase bear spray at one point, but we didn't actually take it with us. It stayed in the car. And and so it hasn't actually been in the field. But we do have little air horns that we wear.
Okay.
In our fanny pack, so we can air horn something and try to startle it, I guess.
Definitely. And not only the air horns, we also have their little whistles, their animal whistles that will literally, it'll hurt our ears if you blow them. So if you want to get something that's not so rough, you don't have to worry about going on your own or having the bug or the spray go off or anything. Those whistles are awesome too. It's a great option.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had I've had occasions where bear sprays went off in my tent, and it wasn't fun. So.
Oh no! Tell us about that. I want to hear it. We've got a few minutes.
Oh no! It's just one of those deals, and I've since quit using tents since then. We hammock camp now when we're in the woods. But
I did my first hammock camping last year, and he was shocked because I totally took to it.
Oh, so I need to hear more about this later. Oh, we'll talk later.
Okay. But anyway, so I had a little pup tent. It was tiny, just like one of the little ones that just barely cover your body, and inside and because I like to backpack light, because I carry a lot of other stuff, because I've got, plaster and, night vision goggles and all that stuff for Bigfooting.
He packs for a Bigfoot trip like you and I would pack for a weekend in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, where do you put all this stuff? How many backpacks do you have?
My name is Jen, and I'm an overpacker.
Hi, Jen. I, too, am an overpacker. Yeah. My name is Jen as well.
Okay. No, it was kind of cool. So I kept this tiny tent, so I'm in my tent, and I take my backpack off, and I have like a vest that I keep all my stuff in, and what had happened is I stick it up above my head at night, my vest, and it had the bear spray in it. And somewhere during the night, I actually pulled it down and was using it as a pillow, and I rolled over on it, and it went off. It was just one of those freak accidents. It was right at the right angle or whatever, it went off, and so I woke up, and I'm like, I can't breathe.
Oh my gosh. Were you the only one in the tent?
Yeah, it was just a small little tent just around me, so I was the only one there. I was by myself, so I spent the next hour or so outside of the tent washing my face, trying to get the stuff out of my eyes, and it was horrible.
That's so bad.
I've heard the bear spray is stronger than mace that you
it
use on humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jenna, I can just imagine that accidentally going off with you someday. That would be her luck. Oh, that's funny. Okay. That's hilarious. So can you tell me, so you had the one Bigfoot encounter. Did you have more?
I haven't actually, I haven't had any face-to-face encounters, but we've had rocks thrown at us twice.
Tell her the tree story.
Yeah, and then I got a really good tree story. Yeah, we've had rocks thrown at us twice. We find footprints probably about every year. In the last 5 years, we've found footprints somewhere. But the weirdest thing, the other encounter we had, I've never had, like I said, I've never had a face-to-face encounter like that before. But we've got audio, the whoops and stuff at night also. But my guy squatching partner, my buddy Pete, and we had hiked into this lake that was like 3 miles up a mountain to get to it. And it was 3 miles with 3,000 foot elevation gain in that 3 miles. It was brutal crawling up there. And we got up to this lake, and we had set up our tents
About 10 feet apart.
about 10 feet apart on this lake shore. And we had went out at night and tried to record any audio. We didn't get anything at all. Like 90% of the times you go out, you don't find anything. But so we got back to the tent about midnight or so, and we were both dead tired from that hike and everything. So we just crashed, and I slept really hard. I always sleep hard in the woods. I just love it. It's too comfortable for me. But we woke up in the morning and come out of our tent, and there was a fir tree that was about 6 inches around that had been pulled out of the ground about 12 feet away from our tent area, and it was laid, roots and all, between our tents in the middle of the night. So, yeah,
It was just laid there.
Yes, it was pulled out.
Was it big? I mean, like, what was the size of this thing?
Well, it was about 6 inches around. It was probably about 12 feet tall, and it was just pulled directly out of the ground. We found, where it was pulled out of the ground was probably about 12 feet away from our camping area.
Oh, okay.
And then it was just pulled straight out of the ground and then walked over and laid between our two tents in the middle of the night. So
what do you guys feel? I mean, what do you feel about that? What do you think it meant? Did you get any kind of feeling or?
Well, we were kind of in shock and awe, but we were like, oh my gosh, we got visited in the middle of the night and we didn't even know it. It could have like ate us, but
they hightailed it down the mountain.
Yeah, we did hike out. We didn't spend another night there. We kind of hiked out. We kind of took it as a message, just like, okay, here's a tree. It's kind of an arrow. It means go that way. Go back down. It was pointing back down the trail, so we figured, well, we might as well go back down the trail.
So now, did you guys ever go back to the spot to see if that tree was still laying where it was?
Actually, we haven't. That was like a year ago, so. Maybe when it opens back up, we might go out there and look.
Yeah, that would be neat. Because you said, was this in the campground area? It wasn't inside the woods?
No, we were actually, there isn't a campground. This is a high mountain lake. There's, you got to hike
so there's
to it.
no area, no flat ground.
Right. Yeah, we were just kind of on the beach next to the lake where we set up in a little meadow. So, yeah, it was. But that was probably the weirdest thing that's ever happened out Bigfoot for us.
Nice. How exciting. No, I know you guys mentioned, I just want to bring it up again. You camp, what do you call it? It's called, what kind of camping when you lay in a hammock camping? Or how is that literally like a regular hammock where you just tie it to two trees, and does it have like a folding over? Because I think I saw something about that, and I thought, how would that work? And it works good. It
works great, actually. I will never go back to tent camping. Yeah, one, they're really light. I mean, these are like mountain backpacking style hammocks. It's not like the hammock you get for the backyard. They're really compact. I mean, you can literally squish it into your pocket. It's just a nylon hammock, real thin and sheer. It's really cool. But anyway, we have these like tarps that make like a teepee over top of them in the tree that'll keep the rain off. We also have bug nets that zip around them so we don't get bugs and stuff.
That's what I was going to ask about, because those little mosquitoes, I wonder if they would be able to get you through the lining of the hammock.
Yeah, they can, but we have the bug nets that go around the whole hammock.
And that works pretty well.
It works great.
You guys send us a picture. I want to see a picture of you guys, one of you laying in that thing.
Yeah, we got them somewhere. I remember. Yeah, we got. Yeah, my son calls them bear burritos.
Funny.
Yeah.
All right, so we're past due for our commercial break. So let's take our commercial break, and we'll be right back, folks. Stay tuned. Awesome. Okay, Jenna, you got to watch the clock.
I know. I'm so sorry. We started talking about that bear burrito, and oh my gosh, I'm not kidding. I can't wait to see a picture.
Awesome. Funny, Kat's in the chat room, and she said, I'd say a bear would be quicker to eat ya or kill ya. She said, this tree thing in particular, I could have beaten you to death in your sleep, but instead I placed this so you'll see it and think about being near my home.
That's right.
Agreed. I agree with that completely.
So yeah, funny. She's funny. Anyway. I dropped my fan and I can't find it.
Oh no. Is Larry there? Can he grab you anybody there?
No.
Your mom?
No.
Shoot. I came equipped with ice. I bring ice every time. So you guys are doing great. How are you guys feeling about it?
Oh, good. Great.
Good.
Yeah. Well, I am. I don't know how you're feeling.
I've toned down a little bit.
Yeah, she's a little toned down, I mean, I do radio shows all the time now, so, and I speak at Bigfoot conferences. What else do I do? I've done a Nike commercial about Bigfoot I was in, and
He said 30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds, yeah. And I also that Expedition Bigfoot show that was just
he
on.
Was a consult.
I was the one that told them where to go, and I was working with their producers as the behind the scenes guy, telling them where to go find the Bigfoot.
All right, here we go.
General.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. And this is the Journey Radio Show. And hey, we're the She-Squatchers. Why don't you check us out online at SheSquatchers.com. Right there at the top of the page, you're going to find links to our YouTube channel. Wouldn't you please come over and click that red subscribe button and become a subscriber to our YouTube channel? We're in a subscriber race with another YouTuber, and it's been extended now till October. So we need to get as many subscribers as we can get. So please help us out win this race. And come on over and subscribe to our channel. You'll also find at the top of our website page, you'll see a link to our Facebook page. Please come on over and click like there, because that's where we're going to post our most up-to-date information on what's going on. So you can check in with us there. And tonight we've got special guests joining us from Oregon. We've got Scot and Hannah Violette joining us. And let's get back to hearing from them and all the wonderful things they have to share with us. So welcome back, Scot and Hannah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I wanted to hear more about your work with the Native people and the information that you've collected with that.
This is my favorite stuff.
Yeah. Well, being in... working with the Miwok tribe, this was in Central California, around Yosemite National Park. In fact, we were like 15 miles from the front gate of the Yosemite National Park is where we were located. And, sitting down with them and them showing me pictographs and petroglyphs from all over, and they're saying that this is Yayali, this is Bigfoot in their language, is Yayali. And hearing some of their stories, and the greatest thing is working with them is they have they think of Bigfoot as both a metaphysical thing, but also a real thing. They have a legend that states everywhere Bigfoot goes, a light follows. So if you see lights in the woods, that was one of their legends. I've never seen that, but I believe them, because they've got a lot of history in this. And then, so that's what kind of really got me into this, looking into the Native American cultural stuff, and then hearing stories from tribes from all over. I've logged over 175 different names for Bigfoot from different tribes. And it's kind of funny to me that some of them, it's like a 50-50 thing. where half of them say it's this benevolent, creature that lives in the woods,
kind of a guardian or protector.
a guardian and protector, that, and the other half says this is a cannibal, a monster, and I think it just has to do with what relationship the tribe had with the Bigfoot, back in the day. One of Hannah's favorite stories is from the Ojibwe, and I'll let you say it. You tell me.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's my favorite. I'm a music teacher now, but I have a strong sociology and social work background. So he studies dead people and I study live people. And I love hearing the stories of different people groups historically and currently. My favorite Bigfoot tale comes from the Ojibwe tribe. And in this legend, it goes back to when the Europeans were first exploring and settling the New World. And in this story, Bigfoot was in a treaty with the Ojibwe tribe, a very peaceful coexistence treaty. And the Bigfoot said to the Ojibwe elders that the white people are trouble. Don't deal with them. Don't trade with them. Don't socialize with them. And the elders said, well, we want their coffee and their all those things. We're going to trade with them. And, consumerism right there at the very beginning. And at that point, the Bigfoot told the tribe, well, we are going to go into the mountains and you will never see us again. And then we have history following. And that is my favorite story because, it's like, wow, there was wisdom speaking here. There was, when Scott says, some tribes see Bigfoot like, a protector, and others see him as a monster. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like, the Judeo-Christian relationship with deity. He's either wonderful or he's horrible, one of the two, And so you've got this deified sort of creature giving them advice and they're totally ignoring it. And then we have the procession of history after that. So, and people ask, well, why don't we see Bigfoot? Well, look at us. Why don't we see Bigfoot? He's got very good reason to want to keep, they have good reason to want to keep themselves not having anything to do with us. That's my interpretation of that. If I was one of them, I'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting that they said, I'm going into the woods and never be seen again, and that's what they did.
Yep.
And do you know where the people were living at? Because there were so many Ojibwe that they were all over the place.
These were they were west of the Great Lakes area in Canada, just across the border.
Yeah.
You know where I'm talking about? Kind of North Dakota, above that, up in the Canadian area.
Was that Manitoba or something? I don't know. I don't know I'm not really good with Canadian provinces. So.
I know what you're talking about. So in North Dakota, there's the Peace Gardens that connect to Canada, but there's the Turtle Mountain Reservation there. That is Ojibwe, Cree, and Métis. My mom is a tribal member of the Red Lake Band of Chippewa Indians, which is also Ojibwe. So I might be a member now too. I applied. The tribal offices are closed down. I think I'm a member now. Yeah. So that's very interesting because I love collecting Ojibwe stories. And it's different because when there's so many reservations around in Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota, even up into Canada. And you go from one reservation to the next and they have different stories.
Yeah, they always do. Yeah, it's amazing. One tribe to the next. I mean, they can be just miles apart and have totally different stories.
One thing on my personal bucket list, it's if we ever have time, is I would love to do some ethnographic interviewing of tribes and collect all these stories and put them in a book. And just have one like a primary source. If you want to know your native Bigfoot legends, go to this book. I mean, I just think that would make And I don't have a drop of native blood in me. I just love it. I just think it'd be awesome.
It would be nice to have a book like that. You should write that so we can have you back and you can tell us how awesome it was.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're gonna do that. Me being a Native American anthropologist, that would be right up my alley to do. So, and having her psychology background, it'd be great to collaborate on a book.
Oh,
We've been thinking about it for a year, but now since we're really mobile, and as soon as the nation opens back up, we're going to be able to spend time anywhere we want to go.
Yeah, this will be assuming that the summer can work out somewhat like we had planned, we'll be coming over to the Minnesota, Wisconsin area in July.
Yeah, I think
July.
in July. Yeah.
Yep.
You have got to let us know when, because if we're not at an event, hello.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'd love to do that. Actually, there's a radio show that I do out of Kenosha, Wisconsin all the time. And they invited us to come over there and take the radio personalities out in the woods for a night.
Yeah.
So we're going to go do that.
Very cool.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Very fun. Well, I tell you, there are lots of Bigfoot in northern Minnesota in the Northwoods, with lots of lakes and wetlands and uncharted woodlands. And I mean, there's nobody up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, well, there's so many people in the woods, people be seeing them all the time. And I tell them two things. Yeah, people do see them all the time. I get 120 reports a year from where I'm at. And two, the Blue Mountains where we live and do our research mostly, they stem through the northern Idaho all the way to the Cascades in California. So that
you've got thousands of miles.
We've got 27,000 square miles of forest, and there is nobody there.
And it's mostly funny when people say, well, there are people in the woods all the time. No, they're not in the woods. They're at National Forest campgrounds. There's a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
You are right.
Bigfoot is not going to come check into the Little Eagle Creek campground for a meet and greet.
Yeah.
That's funny, a meet and greet.
Yeah. Well, we wish you would, but
yes.
We were at the Oregon Bigfoot Festival last summer, and there was a guy who was he was a hunter, and he'd been hunting in the Pacific Northwest for 30 or 40 years. I'll never forget this guy, because you get your Bigfoot Festival people, and it's like any other geek fest. You got people coming in Bigfoot costumes, and they're going to all the bling booths, and they're hearing the TV celebrities. And then you have your serious people, and you always know the difference, because this guy had been hanging around our booth for like 4 hours. He'd come in, he'd look at our stuff, he'd leave, he'd come back, and finally, like the last 15 minutes as people are leaving, he finally approaches us and tells us his story. And this is a guy who had an encounter, and you could see, you always know people who've had a real encounter, because it's like you can see the hair on the back of their neck stands up. This guy he was almost crying as he recounted the story. And that's a guy who had been in the woods for 30 years. Yeah. Because he was a trapper, a hunter, doing all the things. He was not, let's go to the campground for 2 weeks for summer vacation kind of guy. So
he was not a glamper, in other words.
No,
not glamping.
No, I am a glamper. Thank you very much.
Glamping is fun, but camping is cool. Love camping.
I love camping in a hotel too. That's awesome.
That's Jen's favorite campground. Called hotel.
My mother always said camping is the Holiday Inn and roughing it is Motel 6.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
When my elder was still alive up on the reservation, he had, well, it's still there. In Panema, there's the they call it Obashing University because it has the outdoor classroom and the sweat lodge and the medicine prayer wheel, and there's like a meditation walk that goes in the woods behind that. and there's like clearings back there, little clearings underneath like big trees. And I said to him one day, I said, you know, we should build some wigwams back here and let, like, the old way, like with like skins on the floor, and let people come and stay here the old school way. And he's like, oh, no. About 6 months later, he's like, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking we're gonna do that. And I'm like, that's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
That's awesome.
People could come do an immersion into the old school way. And I was all for that. I'm like, let me know, we'll come and we'll help you build the wigwams. And because essentially wigwams are pretty much like sweat lodges. You know, you just, there's pretty much the same kind of structure. Anyway, we never did get to it. He passed away, but I think that would be just amazing to do that. And now that I know that there's actually Bigfoot back there,
that's awesome.
Even more incredible. That would be even more incredible.
Yeah.
Jenna, I took you there, remember?
Yes, I was going to say, is that the one that you took me to? It was absolutely beautiful. The energy was just gorgeous there. There's this huge open area, but yet it's completely private, and it is absolutely beautiful. You just feel it there, and there's certain little areas that you can walk and walkways, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I've got goosebumps right now. That's how serious I am.
When we lived in California, when he was working with the Miwoks, we lived in this house that was built right next to a Miwok. It was a cemetery for tribal elders. And it was the most amazing place we have ever lived. It was like, it was fabulous. It was so peaceful and wonderful. And we would walk back there and we'd look at the graves, and past that cemetery, you could go back and you could see all of the old grinding holes from hundreds of years before. I mean, it was like living on an archaeological site. It was amazing. And that feeling of just kind of ethereal otherworldliness was totally there.
Yes.
Never had that feel. Yeah.
Yeah, people thought it was weird that we lived in a Native American burial ground, but
we loved it.
We loved it.
We absolutely loved it. There was always all sorts of wildlife all around us. Yeah. The vegetation was lush all the time. We've never lived in, we've certainly lived in, more sophisticated places since then, but nothing as peaceful or as settled as that spot was.
How did they mark the graves?
They actually had tombstones on them now. I mean, they modernized it. They added tombstones to them. There was what was her name?
Lucy.
Lucy. What?
I forgot.
It was one of the tribal members. Her name was Lucy. I forgot her last name, but she was one of the first Miwok who had actually married a miner that came over in, the miner 49er era, so she was the first one native who had actually married out of the tribe to this white man. And then later on, she found out that he was married to a white woman back east also. And she was the first Native American woman to take a white man to court and beat him, and she took his mind from him. It was awesome.
You go, girl. This girl deserves a book.
Oh. She has one. So
she's like, she was the
Hite. Lucy Hite.
Hite, yeah.
Hite.
She was before the suffragettes, and just So it was her kid, her family, and that were in that spot, and we always really felt honored to be there. It was amazing.
It sounds amazing. Oh my goodness. How much fun you guys have had and on your travels and living in a camper and going wherever you want to. That's like a dream.
Well, it is when you're not locked down.
I suppose during the winter.
Yeah. Well, right now.
Well, in the winter we can go south. So in the winter we go down to Falk, Arkansas to, to where, the Legend of Boggy Creek was and all those places. So we get to go to these all these famous historic, Bigfooting places.
Yeah, when I'm not teaching.
Yeah.
Like vacations and things.
Yeah.
But so Jen and I will be getting our camper when? If you'd like to send Jen and I a free camper for our, I'm kidding.
Actually, we've talked about that. If we ever
Yeah.
came into like the lottery or something like that, we talked about
Yes.
getting a big driving RV and having somebody to drive us. Because
It's
I would
just-
never drive something that big. I don't think Jenna would either.
I would drive it, but not for 8 hours, 20 hours.
Tammy would drive it.
Tammy would, yeah, but she wouldn't want to
see-
drive the entire way.
See, what we do is we belong to a couple different RVing groups. There's one called Thousand Trails, and they've got campgrounds all over the United States. And you pay a fee up front in the year, first of the year, and then you can stay for 14 days at a time at any of their campgrounds, all over the United States for free for the whole year. So we've got that, and we've got this other thing called Harvest Host, where you can stay at wineries in their parking lots at night.
That's my favorite.
So what we do is we don't drive more than 200 miles a day. You know, when we're traveling, we just pick our time. We'll take 5 or 6 days to go, like, 500 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
But we'll stay in a winery, and then the next winery, and then the next winery.
And at every place we have to taste.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you only get 200 miles. You guys are stopping at the wineries and tasting.
Well, so our camper is named the Patty Wagon, after Patty
From the Patterson
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And so this summer I thought, as we're winery, as we're making our way across the country, going from winery to winery, we would do something called the Patty Wagon Wine Tour, and throw up videos about all these wineries and our tasting, and it'd just be fun. See, that's the city girl coming out right there.
Yes. See, that'd be fun to watch. I'd love to see pictures from your wine experiences.
I am totally not a wine snob. I either like it or I don't. It's like, oh, this is awesome. Oh, this is disgusting. That's the sum total of my wine connoisseurness. But I know what I like.
See, she would get along great with Tammy. Tammy's our wine girl. She loves wine.
Jen and I really don't drink, but every great once in a while, I'd love to have a nice glass of wine, Merlot or Shiraz. One is good for like 6 months for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a year or two.
Winery, you don't, just to be courteous, we buy a bottle of wine when we stop to spend the night in some guy's parking lot, So we actually have a drawer in our camper that's just stocked full of wine bottles right now. We don't drink that much either.
No.
That's so funny. You guys are like the perfect neighbor at KOA. I'm gonna be starting. If we stay at a KOA, I'm gonna be going, hey, are they here? they got everything we need.
Exactly.
I was a barista with the nation's largest. I won't say it because it does weird things, but for the nation's largest green aproned coffee chain. So I'm probably a better barista than I am a bartender. So I will make you an awesome latte.
Yeah, that's something we do a lot when we're in the campgrounds. Is people stop by because it says Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research on the side of our truck. We've got big logos on our camper. It says the Patty Wagon. It's got a picture of Bigfoot on it. And so people walk by all the time, and we get a lot of reports. People will stop by, hey, you really do this? You really go look for Bigfoot? And I go, yeah, I do.
Yeah, come on in. I'll give you a cup of coffee.
Come on in. She'll make you some coffee. And then they sit down with us, and then I start hearing Bigfoot stories from people. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Awesome.
I am the Bigfoot barista.
Yeah, she's the Bigfoot barista.
You're the baby. Oh, you guys, that's awesome. Yeah, and definitely we'll be picking the coffee over the wine, except for Tammy. She might want to dig in your drawer. So your wine drawer.
I can make her an Irish mocha.
Yeah, there you go.
Throw a little something in that.
I bet that would be good.
If you're on your way up here and you go through Valley City, North Dakota.
Okay.
You have to go through Jamestown, North Dakota anyway. Stop and see the white buffalo. Stop and see the buffalo.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then Valley City is the next town on the interstate, and there's a new brewery there, Brock Up Brewery,
Oh,
Um,
that's up your alley, babe.
started by some friends of mine from high school, and she was inviting me to come try out their beers that they make there. And I was like, you know, I don't drink beer. And she's like, we have one called coffee. It starts with a K, and it's made with coffee.
Oh,
and she said, it tastes like coffee. And I'm like, okay, I would maybe try that.
We'll have to try that.
Yeah. So if you
try that.
Yeah, that would be fun. Just tell them Jen sent you.
Okay, we'll do.
Yeah. So got to see the buffalo and have some coffee beer.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, we are coming towards the end. We have a little over 2 minutes left. I want you to be able to tell people where they can find you and how they can contact you and anything else you'd like to share about anything upcoming for yourself.
Okay. So upcoming, well, actually, where you can find us, we have a website. It's called squatchoregon.com, and that's soon going to be updated to squatchamerica.com because we're going to take this show on the road nationwide. We're planning on doing that.
We're giving it a trial run this summer, see how it works, and then we'll see what happens.
If we can, well, right now we can't book places, but we had planned on booking and doing like these town hall meetings wherever we go with people to start gathering stories and stuff.
On our YouTube channel, we're on YouTube at Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research, and we have a live Facebook chat every Sunday. Not Facebook, a live YouTube chat every Sunday.
At 6.
At 6 o'clock Pacific time. So we won't be doing it on Easter, but starting next Sunday, then people can catch us on Facebook. So that's 6.
Not Facebook.
Oh gosh, I'm terrible. On YouTube at 6 p.m. Sunday nights Pacific time. So that's
we do live
that's
chats
7 Mountain,
every
8
week.
Central, 9 Eastern.
Yeah, and plus on our YouTube channel, I have a thing I put up every week too. It's called Footprint Friday, and we go over evidence and stuff that we've found or stories that people has given us and evidence and all that stuff. We put that up once we do. That's our Footprint Friday every Friday morning. That goes up, and you can see what we found and get stories from people and interviews we do with people.
On Facebook, people can find us at Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research, and my Facebook page is Squatchin With Hannah. So, and there you get a little more of the humor there.
Yeah.
Busy you guys are.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And if you have someone you would like to have on the show, please let me know by emailing me at SheSquatchers@yahoo.com. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week. Stay safe, everyone. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
All right.